You're tuned in to Just One Hot Mom with host Nanika Ansari. Get ready. She's about to bring you that fire, that flavor, that heat, all that passion, and more from around the world and in your neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Hey hotties and welcome. Today we are talking about standing in the gap. And so I think in the description I mentioned to you guys that if you are watching or listening to this later on, you guys go check out Grey's Anatomy. I love Shonda Rhimes. I am a huge fan, but it's Grey's Anatomy season 15 episode 19. This episode, when I say Shonda has taken her writing to a whole nother level, like I feel like sometimes this woman is in my head because wow, what an amazing feat. So in this episode, we see one of the characters, Joe, is going through some transition. That's a whole nother topic. But while she's in transition, going through something on her own, a woman comes into the hospital and there's something wrong with her. And so she's walking through the hospital and Joe greets her and she helps her. And so Joe is helping her and she noticed that the woman isn't being completely honest about what's wrong with her. And so later on in the story, I don't want to ruin it for y'all, but I'm about to ruin it for y'all. So if you didn't watch Grey's Anatomy, this episode is about to be ruined. Spoiler alert. But they discovered that she had been raped. And during the time that Joe's helping her, she's like, I got you. Like, I got you. And so the woman is embarrassed. She's scared. And Joe goes and gets all the other women in the hospital, like doctors, custodians, nurses, any woman that she can find, and she lines them along the hallway so that the woman feels protected and safe. And in that moment, I was like proud. I've never been more proud to be a Shonda Rhimes fan, but never been more proud to be a woman, because that is what we do for each other. We stand in the gap for each other. And I think that there are some women in our lives, in the group, who don't realize that even when you are fighting and you feel alone and you feel scared, there is a woman standing in the gap for you. So I wanted to come in tonight and talk to you guys about standing in the gap. Whether you are a person that stands in the gap or whether you know that there are people standing in the gap for you, you need to trust and believe that there are people fighting the good fight for you, even when you can't see them. So let's get into it. I'm referring to these people that stand in the gap for us as gappies. I don't know. I couldn't think of no other name. I was like, these are the gappies. And so these people, like, I had to really go and study what it was to be standing in the gap, because we always tell, like, you guys know I'm involved with the group Cleveland Young Lives. Go over and check them out and donate. But we always tell the young ladies that we're going to stand in the gap for them. And so when I went back and I looked at what it actually meant to stand in the gap, it's like that shepherd, you know, like the sheep, he's leading the sheep, he's protecting the flock. And so that's what these gappies do for you. They are the shepherd. They are the people that are protecting you, even when you don't know it. I'm sure that sheep are just walking around free, thinking there ain't nothing gonna happen to them. But the shepherd is there with his staff, and he is protecting them. Isn't that how God looks out for us? Like, he is the ultimate shepherd. Like, that just clicked with my brain right now. That he is the ultimate shepherd for us, and we are the flock. Like, he's always watching out for us, but he also sent people to do that for us. People that sometimes we don't even see. Like, I know that there are co-workers that are praying for me. I know that there are people in this group that I have never met that are praying for me. I know that there are women outside of my immediate circle who are taking the time to pray for me. And what an amazing thing that these gappies stand in for me when I can't even stand in for myself. And oftentimes the reason why we can't stand in for ourselves is because we feel alone and we feel afraid. Have you ever been in a moment where you like, I just have to trust that whatever is meant to happen is going to happen for me? Or when you're sad, like, you know, and I don't ever know how I'm going to feel joy again because I'm just so sad right now. And then those moments where you just feel alone and dark and you're just like, I don't ever know how I'm going to feel embraced by other people again. There are people that are praying for those peace of minds for you. There are people that are praying that you never feel alone again, that you know that you are loved, that you're not scared to step out on what you're supposed to do. These gappies, as I like to call them, are everywhere. And sometimes we don't realize that these gappies are standing with us. We see when we tend to look and support we all see support in different type of ways, like whether a person calls you and checks in on you, whether they stop by, whether they send you a note, whether they support you financially. We all see support differently, but some of these gappies, people who stand in the gap for us, we will never see. We may never meet them, but just imagine if we all lived life thinking like there is somebody else out there praying for me. Not just my mom, not just my dad, not just my sisters, but there is another woman who's praying that I step out on faith and step into my purpose, that I'm not afraid, that I have joy in my life. What would happen if we just lived our lives thinking that these gappies are everywhere with us? And let me tell you what gappies do. Gappies defeat your enemy for you when you don't even know that you have enemies. So gappies, the people that stand in the gap for us, they defeating your enemies, even when you can't see who your enemy is. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, let's take that. Enemies are not just physical people either. Enemies can be procrastination, it could be depression, it could be self-hate. All of those things are enemies that come up against you. And what a miraculous world that we live in, that there are people that are praying that these things don't come up against you. Like last week, y'all, I experienced something like, and I mentioned, you guys go check out Marlia Barone Hall. She is a accountability coach. And so you guys go over on Instagram, check her out, follow and check out, see what she has going on. But I caught her live. Marlia and I know each other in person. And, she was just like, I want to pray for you. And I'm like, okay, like, you don't even know what I have going on, but, go ahead. And the moment that she started praying for me, I felt the gaps that were opening around me. I felt them closing. Like, I felt like, okay, I feel protected. I feel safe. I feel like, yes, this is going to happen for me. And do you realize that there are people that are doing that for you each and every day that you don't even realize that they're doing for you? You are on somebody's mind right now. You are in their thoughts and in their prayers right now. And you don't even realize that they are thinking and praying about you. Just imagine if you just walk in the fact that there are gappies out here standing in the gap for you. And if you think about a gap. A gap could be like millimeters apart, or it could be a foot apart. A gap could be huge, it could be small. But imagine if there was someone that was filling in that gap for you, where you could just like, what? There was something going on that an enemy could sneak in. So procrastination could sneak in. A person that you don't want to deal with could sneak in. Depression could sneak in. But that person is standing in the gap for you, and they are filling in the spot so that the enemy cannot come in. You will not be attacked. Imagine if you were like, wow, there is somebody who is taking it brick by brick and filling in that cement. There are no gaps in my life because I know that there is somebody out there praying for me, praying every single day that my life is greater than I could possibly ever imagine. So your gappies, that's what they do for you, seen and unseen. Because some of us have some gappies that we can see. We know that they're praying over our lives, And some of us have gappies that are in heaven. Those people are in heaven like, Lord, please, today, can you let this child, their gappies in heaven. And then some of us have gappies that we don't even know about. They are standing in the gap for you, all because they want to see you successful. See, people be like, oh, don't tell all your business on social media. Don't tell what you have going on. But sometimes it'll be in your spirit to tell what you have going on, because your gappies need to know. Your gappies, seen and unseen, they need to know what's going on in your life so they know how to cover you. So you got to really pay attention, because there's somebody in this group who doesn't know anything about you, who does not know your problems, who does not know your joys, who does not know anything about you. Yet sometimes they are that intercessor, and they are taking the time to pray for you. Prayer is such a powerful tool. It is a powerful weapon. It's what we can use to be like, you ain't gonna get her today. I'm standing in the gap for sis today. There are people that are putting you on their plate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, before them, and they're like, okay, I don't know what's going on in so-and-so's life, but I feel the need to pray for them. That's what intercessors are for. We don't know everybody that's praying for us. I know for a fact I don't know everybody that's praying for me, but I'm thankful and I'm blessed to have them in my life. And so then while doing my research, I was thinking like, okay, what are some gappy moments throughout the Bible, because like that's where we get that stand in the gap from. So I said, what were some stand in the gap moments that we just saw somebody praying for somebody else, and we saw that they were delivered or they were healed? We see that with Jesus all the time. He's constantly standing in the gap for us. I know he's standing in the gap for me. But think about it. Esther, she was the queen, and she saw somebody coming up against her people, and she threw herself at the feet of the king. Do you know what that is, to come down off her throne? Like, I'm the queen, I ain't got nothing to worry about, ain't nobody gonna touch me. But she saw somebody about to touch her people, and she threw herself at the mercy of the king and asked him, like, please don't allow this to come up against my people. She prayed constantly for them so that they would not be overthrown. Do you understand what that is? Like, she took it upon herself to come down from where she were. Like, you think about it. Think about who a queen is, where they sit. You know what I'm saying? Like, a queen is pretty, like, up there, high up there. And so she took it upon herself to come down off her throne, to throw herself at the mercy of the king so that she could pray for her people so that they wouldn't be delivered into the hands of evil. There is somebody that is out there that you don't recognize that is praying that same thing for you. They're like, hey, my sister is going through something. I don't know what it is. It could be the person that you speak to every morning. They don't know what's going on in your life, but they seen a change in you when you walked into work this morning. Or the person you get your coffee from, they noticed that you wasn't holding your head as high as you used to. And so they saw that change in you. And you never know who you come in contact with that is praying for you. So that's what our gappies do. Our gappies, seen and unseen, they pray for us because we sometimes don't even realize that we need somebody to pray for us. We don't realize that there is a hole around us in this thing, in this bubble that we are protected by. There are holes in there that have been poked by the enemy. And so our gappies come along and they get that tape out and they go, this tape over it, or they get that glue out and they seal it up for you. And they do that by praying for you and by supporting you. So then I had to think about the other side of what gappies do. Because gappies have like gappies, they do it all. And so I was thinking about, I don't know what this came to my mind, the walls of Jericho. If y'all don't know the story, go read Joshua 8 from the Bible. I'm going to need y'all to start getting your Bible stories up because I be having to study sometimes to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And when you think about it, the walls of Jericho came tumbling down because Joshua and have marched around those walls to bring them down. So what if your gappy is doing that for you? What if your gappy is surrounding whatever your enemy is and they are taking it down that way? What if they're not even filling up a hole for you? What if they are marching and calling your enemy out, calling your enemy to the carpet like, you're not going to do this today. Come on out, procrastination. Let me tear you down. Come on out, depression. Let me tear you down. And sometimes, honey, your gappy might have to pull the actual person and get them all the way together. Like, let me tell you something. You over here gossiping about so-and-so, and you need to mind your business to get your own life together. Your gappies will do that for you. Do you realize that there are women that are doing that for you, that they pulling somebody's coattail that you don't even realize, and they correcting them about you? That's how special you are to some people in their lives, is that they don't even got to tell you that they gonna stand up for you. They just doing it because of who you are. You are that special that somebody is gonna stand up for you. Even they ain't gonna never tell you that they did it. They ain't gonna never tell you that I pulled Joe to the side and I told Joe he better not ever try you again. Gappies do that for you. They say gappies tell you things you need to hear but may not want to. And that's the truth. Your gappy will get you together. Sometimes we get mad at people for telling us about ourselves. But sometimes, you all know, look in the mirror, you could be your own worst enemy. So sometimes your gappy got to fill in the gaps for you. And what a wonderful thing it is to have people standing in the gap for you. So when I thought about this live and doing this and coming in here and talking to you guys, that episode where I saw it's women from everywhere. It's women from every part of the hospital, every walk of life. Could you imagine being so scared that you are almost about to die because you are scared that you won't have the support and the love that you need? It's some of us right now, we would rather suffer because we are scared and we think that we don't have the love and support we need. But to see people standing up for you, to see people showing you that love, you got to live that way. You got to have that mindset that there is someone doing that for me, even when you can't see it, even when people around you don't seem supportive, when they don't seem like they're praying for you, when they don't seem like they're loving you. You got to trust and believe that there is somebody out there praying for you, supporting you, seen or unseen. If you change your mindset to believe that, just think about how much stuff you could come up out of, how many wounds could be healed. Think about that. If you were faithful in that mindset, that there is somebody out there who is standing in the gap for me. So who around you, think about it, who around you is standing in the gap for you that you can see? Thank those people while they're here. There are plenty of women for me, and I know I try, like whenever I think about it, I try to either text them, call them, send them a card, shout them out, because there are so many people that sometimes we just don't recognize that those gappies are doing that job. And that's a great undertaking, to pray over somebody else's life, especially when you live in your own life and you could be going through your own things. Who are the gappies in your life? Who do you need to thank today for standing in the gap for you on so many occasions that you just, sometimes we forget. We forget that they are standing in the gap for us. We worry. Our worry will allow us not to realize that there are people that are standing in the gap for us, who are covering us no matter what we're going through. And then the other thing is, like, are you a gappy? Are you taking the time to make sure you stand in the gap for someone else? Because just as much as you receive, you should be willing to give. Who around you are you praying for? Who around you are you saying, like, Lord, cover that person today? I don't know what they're going through. I don't know everything in their life, but Lord, I'm asking you to cover them today. Who around you are you supporting, that you can see, like, you like, this person needs my support. Like, I don't know if I totally believe in the vision or the dream, but I'm going to support it anyway because I know they need this from me. Who around you are you doing that for? Because you can't just take. Like, I think we get really wrapped up in that. And I'm speaking for myself personally. We get really wrapped up in the taking and the accepting of support and the love from people. But are you pouring that back out so that somebody can see that they can get that from you? Can somebody say that you are their gappy? Yeah, I love that word, gappy. Can somebody say that you are their gappy? That they know that when there's a crack in their foundation, that they know that you're going to come along, you're going to help them seal that crack up. And even when you can't do it for yourself, that they know that they could depend on you to do it for them. We have to start thinking in that mindset and start sharing our lives like that. Like, I know it's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be in my own lane and I'm only going to do this. But let me tell you something. Your own lane is great. It's miraculous. You're going to be able to do your own things and figure stuff out, and you get all the glory in that lane, even if it's just you giving yourself the glory. But when you take the opportunity to touch somebody else's life, that right there is our greatest commandment, to love one another. So it does not hurt you to step over here. You ain't got to tell her what to do. You ain't got to say, ooh, I wouldn't do that. You should do this. No. All you got to do is touch her hand and let her know, I got you. And when I went and rewatched that episode of Grey's Anatomy so that I could make sure I had all my stuff together. And I hear her sitting at that lady's bedside, and the lady is scared to reveal all the bruises. She's scared to reveal that she is scared. And she grabs her hand and she says, I got you. What do you feel like when you hear that from people? When somebody really tells you, like, I got you. To me, when somebody tells me, I'm like, okay, I can relax. I can ease. That's some pressure up off me when I know my gappies are in place and they tell me that they got me. So if you can enjoy that feeling, just imagine if you gave that feeling to someone else. We ladies, we have got to start coming together. Like, today I witnessed something, and it was so sad. That's what I would say. I witnessed, like, two people that I kind of know, like, they were putting down another person that I know. They all are in the same field. They do the same thing. They do it differently. And it's amazing to watch their growth. But they were just like, it was an attack on that person. And I just felt bad. And immediately I started to pray for that person. But I also pray for them too, because you know what? There is something within them that feels like they want to crack cause a crack in that person's gap, in that person's foundation. Excuse me. So I was just like, Lord, why do they feel like it's necessary to attack and try to shake that person's foundation? Like, that is so wrong. And I felt terrible. And I don't know if that person saw what they said or what they did. I don't know. This bug is killing me. God. I don't know if they saw, what that person did or what that person said. I'll never know that, and I'll never ask them if they saw it, because that ain't my responsibility in this scenario. My responsibility was to be a gappy and to stand in the gap, not only for that person, but to stand in the gap for the two ladies who apparently did not realize that we as women have to stand together. We have to support each other. We have to, even if you don't believe in that person, it's better to say nothing at all than to try to downplay what somebody feels their purpose is. You can do that. If you feel like, okay, I don't believe in a vision, I don't believe in a purpose, say nothing at all rather than crack that person's foundation with your negativity. But it is up to us as women, and I'm going to say especially women of color. We have got to realize that we are not competing with each other. We have so many things outside of ourselves that are trying to tear us down, that let's not do it to each other. Stand in the gap for one another. Be willing to take your sister by her hand and say, I got you. I got you. Because I can tell you, there have been moments where I have been in situations where I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I'm scared. And I know it's hard for people to believe that I get scared. But there are some moments where it's like, okay, breathe, Nick, breathe. And I'm steady telling myself to breathe. And I've had somebody come up and pat me on the shoulder or rub my back. And I felt safe and protected because I felt like I had somebody in the room with me who believed in me, who supported me, who, even if they didn't know me, and I can honestly say I've walked into places. I think I'll tell the story of, I walked into the Pink Party retreat. Didn't know anybody in this retreat. It was at Kalahari, I want to say like 3 years ago. No, I didn't know anybody. And I'm used to walking in places like that, but it's overwhelming. Let me tell you, women, we are so powerful. And when we come together, it's like an overwhelming, powerful presence. So I'm there with so many women. I mean, it's just so much pink, so many women, and I'm just standing alone. And somebody came up to me and they grabbed me by my hand and they said, come sit with us, girl. What's your name? What do you do? And I started talking, and the more I engaged with them, sat at their table, engaged with other people, because sometimes we need other women to do that for us. We need them to come grab us and to let us know, like, you're not alone in this life. And as much as people say that they would like to be alone, they could do this, that I don't need anybody else, it is in our spirit, it's in our system, it's in our makeup that we do need each other. We need other people. So as much as you think you could do this by yourself, you cannot do this thing called life by yourself. And I'm so thankful that God made us that way, because I don't think I would want to do this alone. I don't think I would want to be trying to fill my gaps in by myself. I don't got enough hands to fill in all the gaps sometimes. But I'm thankful for each and every person in my life, seen and unseen, that stands in the gap for me, that supports me, that loves me, that prays for me. I'm just so thankful for that. And so I will end with this, you guys. Like, be aware of those people. Be aware of those people, because they get tired and they need somebody to stand in the gap for them. Even if you never acknowledge, like, hey, I know you were praying for me, or I know you supported me. We should thank them. But if you never get the opportunity to, just pray. Like, so the other day I went through my phone list and I just randomly was like, shoot, dotted the name and prayed for that person. I don't know what everybody has going on, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to know. All I needed to do was just pray for that person at that moment in time. And then you be that gappy, and then allow gappies into your life. I remember I told somebody I was praying for them, and she was like, well, yeah, you have to watch who prays for you. Let me tell you, God is not going to allow people to pray for your downfall, because there's always going to be more people praying for your upheaval. So you got to remember that. So even if you don't want to accept people's prayers, that's fine. But there are still people out here praying for you. Even when you don't understand that they are praying for you, they are praying for you. and thank God for them. I'm thanking God for each and every person that's been praying for me, because your girl done been through some stuff and then did some stuff, honey, and I need all the prayers, unsolicited and solicited, that I can get. You guys are amazing, and I am praying for each and every one of you. Before I started this, I was like, Lord, please use me and allow the message to be clear, and allow it to be not from me, but to be from you, so that people understand that you show them love through other people. And sometimes we take that for granted. We take other people for granted, and we take their love for granted. And so let's not do that. Let's stand in the gap for our fellow woman. I mean, you stand in the gap for your whole family, but we talking about women here. We talking about standing in the gap for each other, because there is some other woman out there that needs you. They need you, whether you are seen or unseen for them. They need you in their life. You guys are truly amazing, wonderful, beautiful, loving, fire, saucy, sassy, heat. And you are always, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to give you guys the heart.
No, the this.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This one. You guys are always amazing. Fire, sassy, saucy, heat. So much passion and purpose in each and every one of you. And I want you guys to always know that, and to always feel that, and to know that even when I'm not there and you feel something difficult coming on, know that I just rub your shoulder if I was to come into the room, or I would say something silly to stand in the gap for you. Thank you for allowing me into your hearts and into your homes. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will talk to you soon.